Hello, my friends, and welcome once again to the farm. A farm that is changing every single season, and this winter is no exception. We find ourselves once again having to pivot, having to shift, and having to take things as they come, and remembering why it is that we do all of this in the first place.
Wintertime is a great time to be faced with those questions because the farm changes a lot and the work changes quite a bit too.
The work tends to get quite a bit uglier and quite a bit harder, not the least of which is doing a lot of the daily chores on the farm in the dark.
Right, we get what seems like 2 hours of daylight during the winter. So a lot of what we have to do just has to get done in the darkness.
Luckily, we have a constant companion for said chores.
Yeah, Birdie has really taken to following us around and taking part in all of the daily chores on the farm. He's a good companion.
This is one of those times of year where you really do need to remember why it is you're doing what you're doing. And even though we've been at this for over a decade, we still have to take a step back and think, why are we using our time for this? Why are we putting our energy towards this? And remembering why it's important to us in the first place and kind of those bigger, overarching values of the farm, especially when the farm is far from perfect. So what you see at any given moment, whether it's on our YouTube channel or any other farm's channel, it's a moment. It's that particular moment on that farm with those particular animals in that season. And that's kind of always moving, isn't it?
Yeah, the particular moments are just snapshots of where you're at. And it's definitely a lot easier to make those snapshots look better in summertime where it's like high productivity and things just look pretty. When everything is stripped back and it's bare bones and kind of skeletal during the winter time, those moments they don't look as appealing. They're not as motivating, I guess, because you don't see the immediate gratification of like the produce, the production, the goals, all that stuff.
A lot of times this year, you're really not even bringing in a huge harvest. So we just sent a massive group of lambs to the butcher, and we're bringing in milk every day from the dairy cow and maybe some few remnants of what's left in the garden. But like you said, this isn't the productive time of year. So what does a farm cling to when it's dirty, when it's ugly, when it's not feeling productive? Why do you do what you do when none of the rewards are there?
Well, I think, one, you have to look for some rewarding things elsewhere. You do have to be willing to look at what you have before you and try to work hard at finding what is motivating about it. And that forces you to see it perhaps in a different way. But I think the other way is to look ahead and to look at what this work will eventually produce. So one way is by seeing what's there in a new way, and another way is by looking ahead and seeing what will come.
After a long day of farm work, we get to come in and enjoy a night's sleep on our Birch mattress, and I'd like to thank them for sponsoring today's video. Right now, you can get 20% off site-wide and 2 free EcoRest pillows with your mattress purchase. Remember, these mattresses are crafted with organic and natural materials. We've had ours for closing in on a year now, and I love it. I love that it's free from polyurethane foams, cheap materials, and fiberglass that can be harmful to health. Birch makes organic mattresses that are assembled in America with organic latex, New Zealand wool, American steel springs, and organic cotton. They offer a 100-night sleep trial so you can make sure you love it. They offer a 25-year warranty, flexible payment plans, financing options, and free shipping. The mattresses also have a plush cotton cover. They're fabulous. You can get 20% off site-wide now and 2 free EcoRest pillows by visiting birchliving.com/the Elliott Homestead. The chores in the wintertime are pretty similar day to day. Because we're not really working the gardens, we're not planting in the greenhouse just yet. So right now, this snapshot of the farm is us making what we have right now, as imperfect as it is, work. So that means that the chicken coop, which we do keep in a deep litter method, meaning we don't clean it out, we just add fresh bedding over the top and turn it every week or so to sort of get the microbes in the soil going, which in turn produce heat, which in turn helps keep the chickens insulated. It means freshening that up, feeding them scraps, feeding them grain, making sure that they have clean water, access to outside. That kind of things are as good as they can be. But the reality is they're not laying a ton right now. A lot of the chickens are molting. We don't do any supplemental light. We kind of just let nature take its course with the chickens. It means they kind of look downright ugly. And this little Phyllis chicken with the feathers on her head, she must be 15 years old. We certainly don't do a perfect job of managing the old chickens and culling them out. And that's just the way we've chosen to keep our farm. There are certainly more efficient ways to do it. But, so far it's worked for us. And I hope that's encouraging to you. If you feel like you need to have it all perfectly figured out, do it all to a T, do it all in a certain way because so-and-so says so, you really don't. I mean, we have patchworked this farm together in a way that works for us right now with the animals that we have. And that, again, is not perfect. We have fencing that needs to be replaced, some new stalls for lambing that need to be built. What else? I mean, the list is kind of ever running, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. This is also a good time of year to be aware of that list. I think during the high production months, those maintenance kind of things, they get pushed down the priority list. So I've noticed this time of year is always good. I mean, even think about the way the farm looks. It's all stripped back. So you see it in its most bare state. And when you see something in that state, you can see all of it, yep. Right? Everything's exposed. You really can take stock of what needs to change or, what needs to be mended or what needs to be addressed in a different kind of way. So this is a good time of year to do that. And you actually have more space to think about those kinds of things as well, because you're not thinking about all of the immediate stuff that needs to happen. For instance, in the spring, planting seeds, yep. Or in harvest time, getting everything out and starting preserving, all that kind of stuff. So this is really the time of year where your mind gets turned to those kinds of things.
Yep, absolutely. And the reality is even when your mind gets turned to those things and you solve a problem or you come up with a plan, even that year to year changes. And I think that can be seen as kind of a discouragement, like you didn't get it right the first time. And that's just not really the case. The farm is a living organism. It's never the same 2 days in a row. It's always changing. It's always shifting. Your food needs change and shift. Your priorities on the farm change and shift. We've had geese on this farm and guineas and breeding pigs and raised piglets. We've had dairy cows and meat sheep and all kinds of animals. And where we are now is just a simple reflection of where we are now. That doesn't mean that's exactly where we're going to stay forever. And when the animals change or the goals change, the farm has to change.
One great example is just what we have to do for water in the wintertime. This is not the way I'd like to keep doing it.
Right.
Down the line, there are better ways that we will be able to do it, but that's one of those things that takes addressing. During the spring and summer months, I can use our well. In the wintertime, I have to shut the well down, and so we have to tank water in to get water filled up every day, and that's not ideal, and it's not the most fun work either. So that's one of those plain things that you could say, okay, I can see how I can address this in the future to make this better next winter, hopefully. But I've been saying that for every winter we've been here.
Hey, honey, we'll get them next year.
That's right.
So take heart, my friends. Imperfect is still wonderful. And even if you didn't get it all done, you never will. And the journey's still worth it. The work is still worth it. We'll get it in the spring.
Here's the hoping.
I left a messy garden.
But you know what you say is there's got to be a place for the critters to live.
That's true.
So
we're just doing our part.
That's right.
They're going to be happy in there this winter. And there's still something for us too.